Hey guys, I'm here today to do my March wrap-up. I know, late again. Why can't I do it like right after the month? I don't know. But I'm here to talk about the books I read in March, which was only 5 books. Wow, that's so bad. I mean, it's not bad, but me, I usually try to read like every day, and March was just not a reading month at all. For 2 weeks I was in Hawaii, and so I read 2 books in Hawaii, but one was in April and one was the very end of March. So the 2 weeks like before Hawaii, I only really read these 4 other books, and yeah, let's just get into them and I will talk about them. So first, I read Someone Like You by Sarah Dessen. Sarah Dessen is my absolute favorite contemporary author of all time. I only don't like, I think, 2 of her books, and not that they're like horrible, they're just pretty boring compared to her other stories. But this one is, I think, her second book she ever wrote. It is about a girl named Haley, and she's best friends with a girl named Scarlett, and Scarlett ends up, can I spoil this for you? I don't know. I don't know the synopsis of the book, so I don't really want to like spoil the plot, but something happens to her friend Scarlett, and it's just Haley being a good friend and sticking with Scarlett through the school year. Haley meets like a bad boy type guy who she kind of changes herself for, and it's just about friendship and, you know, loving yourself and all that. And I don't know, I really like it. It's a very good contemporary story in my opinion. It's one of the, not originals, but you know, it was from a while ago. I read this in like probably middle school, and it was probably out even before I picked it up. Like, it'd probably been out for a while, I don't even know. But I really like it. I love Sarah Dessen, and I love rereading her stories. Then I reread A Darker Shade of Magic by V.E. Schwab so that I could read A Gathering of Shadows, also by V.E. Schwab. So I read these back to back. This one is amazing. It was just as good as when I read it the first time, probably even better. I think I liked it even better this time because I knew what was going to happen more. Like, I gave it 5 stars before, but I gave it, this is like a 6-star book. It's so good. I love the world. There's like 4 different Londons. Cal is the main character. He can kind of like jump through the different Londons with magic, and he has this like magical shape-shifting coat, and he belongs to like a royal family, so his brother is the prince, and he's not a prince, but he's like kind of adopted into the royal family. And it's just a really good book. He meets a girl named Layla, and she is like a Layla, and she's like a thief, and just kind of joined together to stop one of the evil Londons from taking over. And then I went into the sequel, which was longer than the first one, and just, I don't know, I didn't really like it. I only gave this one 3 stars. It just continues with the story. It's like, I think it's like 4 months in the future, something like that, and I don't know, I just didn't think the like bad guy action, you know, was as good as the first one. I never really like middle books. I always feel like in trilogies the middle book is not that good. There are a few exceptions that the middle book is the best, but like for me, 9 out of 10 times the middle book is not good. And so like, I mean, I enjoyed it. I gave it 3 stars. I just don't feel like I would want to read it again. I didn't find anything like super exciting about it. They enter like, it's mostly all about like Cal entering this tournament. It's like a magic tournament, and he has to pretend to be not as strong as he is because he's a very strong magician. So he kind of just picks like one type of magic to be good at to like win this competition, but not like look like he's doing it so easily. And then like Layla enters it. Lila. She enters it. And I don't know, it's okay. It just takes up most of the book. I didn't find it that exciting. My Kindle from the library, I borrowed the book The Merest by Jessie Burden. It was a good story. I was really into it. At first, it's about this girl who she gets married into this like rich merchant's family. Like, she gets married off to him. She's like 18 and he's like, you know, 40. And so she's like oh no, it's gonna be like not good at first, but he just completely like ignores her, doesn't want anything to do with her. So then she's kind of like, what's wrong with me? Like, shouldn't he want to be with me? Shouldn't he want to start a family? So you like see these like intricate web of lies going on in this family. And she also gets a dollhouse from him. He gives her a dollhouse as a gift. She's kind of like, why are you, making fun of me? I'm not a child type thing. But she ultimately kind of like enjoys it. She's like, oh, this is cute. It's a fun little dollhouse. And she enlists a miniaturist to make her like, she asked for like little things of marzipan and little like figurines to look like people, stuff like that, like different dolls. But she soon gets packages that it's like the miniaturist is spying on her because every little detail is like perfect. Like, I can't remember exactly things, but I think there's something like something about bread or something, and she asked for a loaf of bread, but earlier that day it had been like burnt in the kitchen. So then when she like got the miniaturist package, it was kind of burnt. Like stuff that the miniaturist should never know unless they were spying on her, or something like that. So it was like pretty creepy kind of feeling. Like the first half of the book was great. It was like so creepy and awesome. And then the whole story kind of like dragged on too long and got explained, and it wasn't as cool as I thought it would be. So I gave it 3 stars because I really, 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 really was so into it for half the book. And then I was just like, I don't care anymore. It wasn't exciting anymore. It wasn't scary anymore. Like when it was explained, it wasn't a very good, like, cool, spooky story anymore. In March, I read After the Woods by Kim Savage, and this was also an okay story. I think I gave it 3 stars. Like, everything in March was a 3-star book, except the 2 rereads I did. Those were all 5 stars. I love it. All the new books I read are 3 stars, but all my old books are 5. But this one was okay. It was about a girl who, I should remember people's names. Why can't I remember people's names? Julia. Her name was Julia. About a girl named Julia who, her and her friend Liv are in the woods one day, like walking around, and this guy tries to kidnap Liv, and Julia kind of sacrifices herself, and he takes Julia instead, and Liv runs away, and she is taken for 2 days or so, and Julia ultimately gets out of the situation, and now it is a year later, and Julia is still traumatized by this. She was taken, she wants to talk about it, she wants to express her feelings, and her friend Liv is just like, no, we're not talking about it, like, you lived, nothing happened to you, so, like, let it go. She's basically like, let it go. Everybody in her life is like, Julia, let it go. And I'm like, that's not okay. Like, she got kidnapped and held hostage, and everyone around her is telling her it's not okay for her to be hurt or like scared, or they're like, oh, you lived, so let it go. And I'm like, that's not how this should work. No. So it's just Liv has, started dating this guy who's not treating her very right, and Julia's kind of like, you shouldn't be with him, that's not okay, and Liv's just like, oh, I do what I want, and it's just this very big cycle of like, Julia, let it go, and Liv can do what she wants, and that's like all this book is. And it's about Julia trying to figure out like why the guy took her and was like in the woods at the time, and she like investigates with the reporter, and they kind of dig up information about it, but just, it was a very meh story. It wasn't, I don't know, I just didn't like how they were like, let it go, Julia. And then, I just don't think that's okay. If something bad happens to you, you should let people talk to you about it, and not just, like, okay, if I stub my toe and I keep talking about it forever, and my boyfriend's like, oh my god, let it go, that makes sense. If I got kidnapped and my boyfriend told me to just let it go, that's not okay. I just don't get it. But yeah, so it was okay. 3 stars. I wouldn't really recommend it. Not that good of an ending. Meh. But yeah, guys, those were the books I read this March. What are some books you read this March? Let me know below. And thank you guys so much for watching. Bye, guys.